So I'm having a chat with Adam Zindani. How are you?
Very good, very good. How are you, Jim?
Good, yeah, not too bad. Now, people will know you as being a band member of, formerly of Casino and currently of Stereophonics, of course, but you've decided to go solo. What was the reason behind that?
Well, I've always wrote my own songs, and I've always sung stuff, previously in Casino, and wrote some stuff with Kelly, songs with Kelly, for the Phonics. And I wrote a lot of stuff over a lot of years, and I'm sure it's probably the same for everyone. As soon as lockdown happened, I was left with a bunch of time. There's a studio in my house, and my partner said, what are you going to do? And which I replied to, I have no idea. She said, well, you've got loads of ideas you've been kind of playing and probably annoying her with. Why don't you, piece them all together? So I did. And what started off as really just me, forming some ideas and demos soon turned into a body of work, I guess, and before I knew it, I had an album.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, it all happened like that, and there was no intention of it being anything else apart from just gathering songs and putting them together and seeing it. But it was quite a selfish thing, actually. I just did it because I wanted to hear it.
That's fair enough, really.
And now next thing I know, I'm doing interviews and stuff, and the whole thing is happening with it. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
Absolutely, and the album's due out in March. But for those who have heard the singles that you've released from it, it would probably be a bit unexpected to hear when they know what you've done previously.
Yes, it's different. You mean? Is that what you?
Yes.
It is different. I think the whole record. There are moments on the record that are, well, probably not. It's not really a rock record. However, there are guitars on there and elements of that, because that's part of who I am. But also part of who I am, it is other styles too, and this record shows that. And what I didn't want to do was to make something that just was one type of music. I wanted to show all sides of me as an artist, I guess. And when you don't have to write for a band or do it in that way, then you end up doing lots of probably different styles, and they come out in all different types of ways, if that kind of makes sense. So yes, the answer is it is different. And I don't, people will either say, oh, I love that, or they might go, oh, I don't like it at all. But it is.
Yeah, and was it the plan to do it like that, or is that simply just how your music turned out?
Yeah, no, there was no plan at all. That's the one thing about this record. The plan was I purposely said I wouldn't plan any of it from a musical point of view. Whatever came out, if it was good and it worked and it fitted, I'd follow that and pursue that song, and that would work on the record. There wasn't I didn't put any restrictions on myself from an artistic point of view at all, which is possibly why there's the elements on the record which they kind of takes you on a journey. Really, the whole record does, actually. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure your fans will agree with that. And you've released a couple of singles from the record. The one we'll probably play after this is What About Love, which you've also done a remix for. Tell us a bit about the single and the remix.
Yeah, the single was the first track that I wrote for the album, and I was in the studio messing around with a really bad piano sound, and all of a sudden this song came out, and it kind of wrote itself and kind of produced itself, really. There was lots of influences in there, Daft Punk possibly one of them. Various things really, but it kind of turned into something all on its own. I felt like I didn't really have a lot of control over that one. It just happened. And the remix is something I've always wanted to do, but in kind of an old school kind of remixy way. So using the parts that are actually from the recording and, embellishing them as opposed to making something completely different and then putting a vocal over it. That's where that's where the remix came from. And What About Love was, it just feels like an out and out kind of disco song really at times, but it's not. Some of the lyrical content is quite dark. So there's a bit of a juxtapose really to the music, I think, and the lyrics.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And last year was busy for you as well, as Stereophonics released a record and toured as well. Tell us a bit about the Phonics' most recent record.
Ucha. Yeah, that was a really fun record to do. We spent some time in the studio, not a lot of time actually, but we just had a great time making it, and I think you can tell it on that record. It's pieced together from various other things too, and ideas that we'd had. I think I'd co-written, I think, 3 or 4 songs on the record. I can't remember now, but so it was a great thing to be able to. It felt like a fun record, and we were surprised at the end of it how it works together. I mean, I've got to give Kelly the credit for that really, because he kind of pieced it together and done the track listing and stuff, and it all really worked. So, it was great, and to get another number 1 record is an incredible achievement, and it always is, and for the fans to receive it as they did, I think we had 2 or 3. A-list radio songs out of it, and singles. So it was brilliant. And to come back from the pandemic and uncertainty and stuff with a record, and is we were really proud of it. So it was a good thing, and a great thing to be able to tour it after, because for a year or so, or 2 years, people were thinking, will anyone be able to do this stuff again? So it was a nice moment.
Yeah, good. And what's 2023 going to hold for you? Obviously, the record is on its way, but what about touring? Are you doing your solo stuff? Is there any Stereophonic stuff in the works? What's the plan for this year?
Yeah, I don't think the Phonics will be touring this year. I mean, I'm not saying we won't be doing a few shows, but I don't think there's any plan to do something major, only because we covered a lot of ground last year, certainly the UK anyway. But I think I'd like to concentrate on maybe having a little solo tour this year. If anyone comes out and fancies a look, that could be a fun thing to do. And I think time goes so quickly. I've got 4 kids, so for some reason I blink and there's months gone. So I'm trying to hang on to every day at the moment and enjoy every day before it gets into November at some point. Yeah. But I'm sure that's the same. But yes, it's a really exciting. I'm really excited about this record, and I'm really excited for people to hear it, and hopefully like it. So whatever 2023 will bring will be hopefully something positive and something good and fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And finally, you've obviously toured all around the world with Stereophonics, but there must be places you haven't been to yet. Where would you like to go and play at some point that you haven't been to before?
I'd like to go to India.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not. People wouldn't think that would be the first choice you would say, actually. But we were meant to go once, but it got cancelled. So I'd like to go there and do a few shows there. But part of me would like to go to Africa, maybe. I don't know, maybe South America. Again, we did do a South American tour, but I'd like to go back to South America because we loved it when we were there, and the fans were incredible. We've been to kind of most places, but yeah, I'd like to go to India, and I would like to go to South America again. I don't know how much reach we have in African countries, but hey, that would be great too.
Why not?
Yeah, why not indeed.
Well, Adam, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.